Kerry, when you do dry brushing, are you using oils or acrylics?
I like the basic apple barrel acrylics.
Okay.
And what I found, and this is from Sam Swanson, excuse me, is that you want to use a mix of like ink washes or Minwax washes, and then use several different colors of dry brush. And and from weathering clinics I've seen in the last 2 years, consideration is to try to do your weathering as you're doing the final paint job. They should be combined. My tendency in the past is I'd make the perfect model and then weather it. And that's not the best way to do it. The other thing that I learned is, and I can't remember which clinic it was, but I think it's been this year yet, whoever gave a weathering clinic, is look at pictures as you're doing your weathering. Instead of just trying to, take a box car and say, okay, I'm going to put streaks on it, actually have something to look at. That's the other thing I'm looking forward to this convention coming up in May is the fact that it's the prototype rail modelers are having their convention also. And the stuff they do is unbelievable. It's just, it's all modern, but they do amazing things with their weathering.
When you say modern, they do like wood-sided freight cars, that kind of stuff.
Oh, do they? Okay, I didn't realize that.
Not just modern.
Okay, I've only really run into them. Gosh, it was the 2004 convention that we threw in Lansing.
Okay.
There was a number of them there. I can't remember his first name. His last name's Everett.
Brian Everett?
Yes.
Brian. Yeah. They on their website, if you go to their website, they got a big picture of a wood reefer.
Oh, okay.
Highly detailed and a nice scene. But and I'll cover some of that in the video that I'm going to present.
Okay.
So hopefully I was talking to Ron about it, and we're talking about embedding videos if we wanted to, while we're doing this show and tell. And embedding videos is very easy on PowerPoint. And I did a program on NewTrax Meetup or meetings, whatever they call themselves now, last week. And actually, I think it was Wednesday, but John Foray did his portion of it. Then I did the portion on clinics and that, including RPM. So it gave a good, review of what people will be seeing if they go. So, but anyways, I embedded this from YouTube, and I even could click on the time I wanted it to start at, 2 minutes in or whatever. So you just click on when you go to PowerPoint and the video pops up and plays. So it's kind of nice. Hopefully it works. Have you done that, Bob? Have you done any of that?
I can't say that I've embedded video, but I've certainly, well, no, yeah, I did. When I did the clinic in September, I had 3 embedded videos.
Okay.
I wasn't using PowerPoint. I was using the Apple Keynote, but same idea.
Okay. Now I think, we could, of course, it looks like we're going to slowly go back from the Zoom meetings to in-person meetings, which I think we're all looking forward to. But there could be times when we could do special Zoom meetings and people have their show and tells videos and that kind of stuff. And if they knew how to embed them, the videos for presentation, that would be a kind of an interesting program. You'd be able to see more than what you see on a show and tell in person, when it comes to the layouts and that.
Well, Andy, it's a little after 1. I know David will be joining us in a bit, and there'll probably be 1 or 2 more people come in, but we can probably get rolling.
Okay, that sounds good to me. Welcome to everybody then. I know we've been chit-chatting here for a while. It looks like we have 9 people. Too bad we're not getting more people, but you know, it is what it is. Today, there's no program per se, no guest speakers or anything, but Terry's got something to show. I've got something to show, and there's probably a couple of others. Terry's got pictures from Dave. Steve, you've got something also?
Just a couple slides.
Oh, okay, good. So we can keep each other interested in what's going on. Also, I'd like to talk today about the next few months going through summer. If we'd like to get together and do something, we used to have a pretty good time doing layout tours, that kind of stuff. So, you know, think about, we can discuss it later today, but also in the future before we take our summer break, so we can have it planned ahead. So, Terry, do you have anything right now, BP wise? Okay.
No,
Mark?
just what I told you about. I've got a clinic in the can mostly. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Mark?
Had to unmute. I've got a clinic for next month, if you want that.
Okay.
And one question on the newsletter, I had the connection for those well-known musical artists who are model railroaders. Did that work for people? Did anybody get a chance to look it up? And
I didn't myself.
surprising, yeah, there's the few we know they've been in model railroader. And I remember the article on Frank Sinatra and model railroader way back when. You know, amazing number of them. But so other than that, I don't think I have anything.
Okay. Ron?
Nothing here.
Okay. Craig?
Nothing here.
Okay. Well, I'm thinking of it. We've got, I think you guys all got, let's see. Well, my cruise, so not everybody here is a crew, but we ordered Nashville road shirts for when we operate here. And Ron put the order in the other day. So they'll be coming. We got 23 shirts ordered. So, well, let's see. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to cover right now. Craig, I asked you if you had anything, right?
Yeah, you did.
Okay. All right, good. Thanks. All right. Well, why don't we go ahead and start going around with what we've got, and we can see what we can add to it as we go. Terry, did you want to do your presentation now?
Sure, I can start off. Let's see, I need to share screen.
Oh, Ron, one thing you could have noted was
For some reason, I lost that question, Andy. Did I lose Andy?
okay, well,
Yeah.
there we go.
Are you folks able to see my screen? Because I can't.
Yes.
Yeah, I see a skeleton,
Yeah, okay.
a shadow of your old self.
Mine's not coming up.
Huh,
Shoot, I can't see it. I'm gonna stop the share and try again.
okay.
I love it when it works.
Yeah,
Okay, what was your question again, Andy?
Tell the people about the meeting room.
Oh, okay, yeah. Starting next month, our meeting room is available and we have it scheduled for May, June, September, and October. They're only taking reservations up through October, but the fire station is now open for public meetings.
Okay, and there's a possibility that we'll want to go to the church next month, but we'll talk about that after we do this.
Yep.
well, Andy, Mark said he's got a presentation ready to go, so it doesn't matter, you know.
Okay, well, if you want, then we can hold off on yours a little bit, Terry.
Okay,
You gives you more time to prepare for that.
This is Kevin. I've got one too, if you want it.
Oh, okay, great. How are you, Kevin?
Good.
Good seeing you.
I got some stuff. I have some stuff to show also later. So
Good deal. Looks like we got pretty good afternoon going. Well, I just thought this was amusing. This is basically the last 2 years. This is our pandemic traveling. But what I've been doing is I am slowly working towards trying to model this particular aerial scene. This is the Wiscasset waterfront, about
Recognize it.
1920. And the interesting thing here is that this railroad in the back is the Main Central, and it is all standard gauge. And this is where the narrow gauge had to go in order to serve these industries and get down to their wharf down here at the end. You folks can see the cursor?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
okay. So Deerfield River Laser has all 4 of these structures available in HO scale, S scale, and O scale. And in fact, in the larger scales, they even have the station that was out on the pier down there.
Harbor Master saying, yep.
Yep, this structure is the one that I've been working on. And there's an end shot of it there. You can
I
see
love
the
that.
little window there, and it's got an interesting roof on it. There was another part of it that stuck out from here. I don't know if that was early or if that was late, but it's obviously not here in this picture. So I took the Sanborn fire maps and took it and adjusted it to be HO scale, printed it out in tiles, taped it all together. And there you can see the completed structure sitting where it would go. And you can notice that they've made it a little bit smaller to fit. But I've got part of the creamery is in the production. This still needs to be weathered and actually mounted on a base. I had a little bit of difficulty figuring out, they have wood for the roof and they don't include shingles. And I needed to have something that would do this curved thing. So I found an old reproduction fife and figured out a way to set it up with a chopstick and some clothespins in order to hold it in place so it would dry properly. And then they did not provide any shingling material. And so I decided I'd use Campbell shingles. And I made up this on the computer. The stripes are basically how much is needed to set up a row of shingles. And then, oh, that's just the end of the building and what it looks like. But went through and put the Campbell shingles on and used the guides to show me how to keep them straight. And then the other thing that I've been working on is the Main Central gave them absolutely no right of way, since the Main Central was right on the edge of the harbor anyway. So the narrow gauge had to put in this pier system for about a quarter of a mile. And then let's see, got someone else
Well,
coming
they
in.
must have really had a need to put that in. I'll bet that was a great expense for a narrow gauge.
Yeah, it would have been. And the interesting thing is you can still see traces of it left, even though the railroad stopped working in 1933. I'm going to show you more on that pier in a little bit, but I decided about a year ago that I really needed to do something, because I have a tendency when I get frustrated with a project is to set it aside and start something new. So I made this rack, and this is what the rack looks like in my basement with all sorts of different projects and stuff. And so I kind of went through this thing just to show what kinds of stuff I've got that I've been putting off getting to. But this is the clinic that I was talking about. I've got 24 of these things set up. There's 4 different types of pre-primed plastic siding, styrene siding, and 4 types of raw wood siding. And that's what we'll be playing with as far as doing washes and whatever on it when that clinic comes up. This is the piers that I've been gradually putting together for that, Wiscasset waterfront. I made a jig, which makes it a lot easier. I also have in another shelf, this is from Toma. Very nice kit. A little above my skill level, which is why it's not finished, but we're working up the nerve to go and, plug away at it. It's not a problem putting it together, although I had to, for the first time, had to actually tap out holes, drill and tap, and I had not had to do that before. And the instructions weren't that good. There's a couple of issues with things they did that should not have been in metric for holding the N-scale couplers on. This is another one. I've got a Fast Tracks jig, and I'm just playing around with it in HON 30. This is the first attempt, and I need to play with it some more so that I can consider myself proficient. Another little project on another shelf is these cross-cut saws that I made out of overhead plastic material. And they'll go for a sawmill that I'm building. Another shelf holds a couple of wagons and a horse, and there's an HON 30 truck that I need to construct. Another comment of just the last little while, I went down to glue something and figured out that all of my glue is way overdue. So I sat down and reordered all of my ACC cement. I guess it's not good for much more than about 2 or 3 years. Another little toy I picked up is this Ultimation sander, which has really been a handy little thing for especially making those piers, because I can make them all flat. This is a gift from my wife. If you model Maine, you can get sheets that have from LL Bean that have boys on them. And then just a couple of shots of my helpers. This is my grand dog, Sasha. This is my dog, Marty. And then you go down in your train room and you work for a few hours, and you come back upstairs, you sit down in your recliner, and you look across the room and you see this. You just wonder, what were they doing while I was down there? So that's what I've got.
Okay, let's see, David's here now. Did you want to show David's pictures while
Sure.
you're
Sure, I'll put those up. Let's see. All righty, let's go. Yeah, that's the first one. Trying to get it to, there we go. Okay, David.
Okay, you can hear me, right, Terry?
Yes, indeed. Yep.
I don't see anything yet. I guess it's working.
No, it's not up yet.
It's not up yet? Okay.
Well,
The image isn't, no.
I'll
Interesting.
talk while you're doing that. None of you have seen my layout. I joined this group about 11 years ago, I think. No, not quite, just 9 years ago, 8 or 9 years ago. And there's one, okay. So I just have a few shots. This is HO 100 gauge. This is the last thing I've been working on is I used to, I'm sorry? I got a comment, I guess, but this is my small town coal yard, and I tried to put it in. I had picked up that conveyor set probably 8 years ago, and finally decided to paint it, put it together, and made the coal chute. Found the. Is someone trying to talk to me? Is that
Jonathan, is that you or
feedback?
we're getting, no, it's not Jonathan.
Is
No,
it,
I was muted.
is it Kevin Guthrie?
Yes.
Sorry, I thought I was on mute, but there's no noise here.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
All right, so this is just one corner of the layout. I was I'd get down and stay away from the layout for months at a time, and decided just to pick a spot and get onto it. So this is the coal yard, and I've got a couple more shots of this because I really enjoyed doing it. You can go to the next slide or next photo.
There we go.
Yeah, this is the same thing, but closer and from above, bird's eye. So I cut the track out. This is what they used to have in Stockbridge, just to unload the coal, something similar to this on the left there. And I cut that out and moved the ties around, was happy with that. And then on the right, the reddish square thing, I put in with and made that, painted it. That's where coal could be dumped down and then conveyed into the coal tower and loaded, and then they could, none of this operates, but they could load the cars from there. Okay, so that's just more of that corner.
Next
Go
slide.
ahead. Next slide. This is showing that part of my layout. The whole layout's about 10 feet on the farthest side. You see, you can't see the left end of it that goes just sort of to a yard and a roundhouse. And then this front side, haven't done much with, and it goes off to the left and probably another 4 by 5 feet in the front, and not much. I mean, all the track is laid and trains run, but I haven't seen it yet. Okay, next slide. I think we'll get the whole thing. No, that's okay. That's the roundhouse kit that I did way back, and there's a round, and then just part of the yard, and that dead ends at the left. That's the end of the layout. Go ahead, next slide. That's just another one. The last year I did the switch tower there on the left, and then the building on the right is one I picked up, I think, from Alan's sale. I did a minor amount of work on that and retitled it. And then the scenery I did on the back, which is mostly photographs that I put together on the backboard, and then also cut out some barn pictures off the internet and glued those. The Grand Trunk right in front there is one of the brand new Rapidos. That I think that's my most recent splurge. Okay, then I don't, and that's pretty much the whole layout in my basement. And so that's all of my slides. I tried to do a video or something, but it was too much to load to send to Terry, who was good enough to put this together, put it on for me, because I don't know how to share. And I am going to be relocating to Florida with my wife.
Oh.
And all that gets to be moved to others. I have some areas in which I may donate to a young adult group in the Ann Arbor, Ypsilanti area. I've met this guy at the Dexter Depot once, and he works with a group mostly of high functioning autistic young folks. And I think I'll donate a good bit of it, but I think the layout pretty much is going to be torn down when I go to Florida, and I don't know when, over the next 3 to 9 months. I'm probably going to get into Fremo. I've talked to John Young about that and some other folks, and I think that's probably what I'll do. I won't have the room anymore to do a big layout, but I want to stay involved in some modeling. So that's it. If anybody has an interest in, I've got loads of cars. I was also thinking, Andy, if anybody has a place to store some stuff, I have some unused, unopened things that I would donate to our division to be given away as door prizes or sold at, as an auction or whatever for fundraising for the division at some point, but we can talk about that later. That's it. I don't know if there are any questions on that, but that's my layout. I know none of you have been there to see it, so.
Well, thank you, David. And yeah, I hate to see you go. I'm happy for you probably going where you want to be, I suppose.
Yeah. But, and I'm going to be around for a number of months and we'll make as many, well, in the summer, it sort of slows down. So maybe there'll be a chance for some guys to come out and see it and pick some pieces if they want something. But
Where do you live exactly, Dave?
it is in Stockbridge. I'm in the village.
Oh, okay,
Okay, so it's between Lansing and Ann Arbor.
right.
Down 52.
My ex-brother-in-law lives down where is a state park. Not too far. You go through Stockbridge and you follow the
Yeah,
paved highway.
the Waterloo Recreation Area.
It probably is, right?
Yeah.
Right where you make a hard left turn, he goes straight. You go straight right down the dirt road, past all those school buses.
Well, I'm not placing it, but
I think it's halfway between Stockbridge and Gregory. There's a 90-degree turn. It's an intersection, but the highway makes a 90.
yeah,
Anyways, he lives down
Yeah.
there.
okay.
Be part of Pinckney Rec area.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. I can't remember the exact the name of the road. Now he lives at the end of the road down there.
Yeah.
Okay. Who else has something to share?
Oh, I do, Andy.
Okay, Bob, go ahead.
All right, let me see if I can do this here.
All we got is a black screen right now.
I'm working on it. Give me a minute. Give me a minute.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay, yeah, I guess I want screen. Share screen. Okay, start broadcast. 3, 2, 1. All right. Okay, I'm sharing my screen. Yes, I am. Let's go here. And I'll get rid of that. Okay, so here's my show and tell. So I can't remember if I talked about this with you guys. I know I talked about it with the Fremo N group a couple of weeks ago, but or a month ago. But I'm working on my interim layout down in the basement. That's some of you guys have seen it. It's I started it 20 years ago and worked on it for a few years, showed it, but then had a down period here as life got in the way, and now I'm getting back to that. And one of the things I wanted to do, I've got a engine servicing area, and I have a microengineering engine house model, but I didn't actually want to build it. And I thought, well, I'll make a stand-in. And kind of the traditional way of doing a stand-in is is with cardboard or the that kind of material. And I thought, well, I've got CAD and I've got a 3D printer. I wonder if I can make a stand-in model out of with my 3D printer. And so I proceeded to scan the pieces of the model, and then by counting pixels, I was able to measure, the dimensions of the building and the features on the building. And then I brought that into CAD, and I use Fusion 360. So this is actually the finished CAD model. And then from there, I started 3D printing it. So here's the sidewalls on my 3D printer. It just barely fit, you can see, just under 10 inches there. And there's that on the layout in place where it's going to go. The in the previous photo, the doors were filled. And that's because the door openings, you know, they're an overhang at the top. And so you need supports when you're printing. Let me see if I can go backwards. I can go backwards. So you can see here you know, the doors are filled, but that's a removable piece that's just there so that you could print the top of the door opening. We'll go back here. And then I printed the roof, and I wanted to print the roof in one piece, but it would have been too tall if I had done it sideways like that. So I had to split it into two separate pieces and print it horizontally and actually diagonally on the print bed. So that also just barely fit. But and I don't know, it's hard to tell in this picture, but the pieces are actually at a slight angle because the roof is at an angle. And since I was printing with the center of those pieces, you know, the roof center line down, that's why the pieces themselves are at a slight angle on the printer, but there was no problem doing that. It can print easily up to 45 degrees. And there's the finished model in place with, you know, with tracks just for appearance, so I could take the picture. But the thing that surprised me about this is everything I was reading about, you know, printing, 3D printing with models, is that you really wanted to use a resin printer to do finished model work. And I don't have a resin printer, I've got a filament printer. But what surprised me was, and I was planning on just using this as a stand-in model while, you know, for this layout until I built the final, you know, the ultimate layout in my basement. But what happened is that this actually turned out pretty darn good. You know, let me see if I can zoom in. I mean, and this was on medium quality. I wasn't sure how long it was going to take to print. The sidewalls actually, that took 12 hours to print on medium, and the roof pieces was a little over 5 hours. But if I print that on higher quality, it'll take longer, obviously. I think the sidewalls wanted to be about 18 hours that way. But, you know, if I was printing a finished model, I wouldn't really care because it would take me longer to build a finished model than it's going to take for the printer to print it. And so it actually turned out a lot better than I thought. And, you know, I've talked about it with a few people, and the suggestion that if I hit it with a coat of primer or two, it might actually be just fine as a real model rather than just as a stand-in. So I could see putting this on a module after I've done some finish work on it.
Very nicely done, Bob.
All right, now how do I stop is the question. All right, let me go back. Go ahead.
Bob, that almost looks like it was what we first glance there. It looked like it would be good enough to go ahead and use it as is.
Well, that's yeah. You know, and I printed it. I printed it, you know, in colors that I was actually intending to model. I had found a prototype on the CSX down in Ohio, Needmore Yard, that had basically those colors, you know, gray sidewalls and a blue roof. And so I thought, well, I have those color filaments pretty close. The blue's a little different, but you know, it's close. And yeah, I was really happy with how it turned out. It was better than I expected. Oh, I guess I should turn my camera back on now. Yeah, so I'm really happy with this, and it's kind of given me the encouragement to actually do more actual structure modeling in CAD and then 3D print, even though it's just a filament printer. And it helps that it's N scale. I mean, I can fit N scale structures. That's a pretty big structure. You know, a smaller building would be easy to do. And you know, it would be easy to print it on high quality and not have it take, you know, days.
Is there a advantage to printing the walls standing up instead of just printing like 4 flat walls and then gluing them together when you're done?
Yes, there's one. I don't have to do any further assembly. Right? So the idea, and yes, I've had that suggestion, and that would certainly, it would probably make it go quicker. Maybe. I think that would be an interesting science experiment to actually spit the walls. But it was quite easy on the CAD to make the model that way. And that's something, if people are interested in, I could, I could get on the main computer here and show how I actually made the CAD model. That's probably a 20-minute conversation, but it's actually relatively easy to build that piece as one piece. And so, since I was thinking this was kind of a throwaway model anyway, I just wanted it to be done. I didn't want to have to do a lot of work with it. I didn't want to have to cut out cardstock and assemble. It was just, I want to be able to put it on my 3D printer. And while that printer's going, I don't
yeah, I
care.
gathered it was going to be sort of informal, as I say. I screwed the first time in years that I've had a tax book. Anyway.
David Wentworth, you might want to mute your audio.
Hi, David. Anyways, so yes, there would be advantages to printing it flat, printing the walls flat. One of them would be there's less of a chance for it to bow. There was some bowing in this, which I would correct by putting internal supports while it's printing that I could then cut out. But yeah, there's advantages both ways. And I just chose this because it was the easier path to get to a finished piece that I could set down on the layout. But yeah, you could do it either way.
Bob, I have a question on the printing of the structure. The ones I saw, they would be sitting at an angle, and they have legs coming down that you would cut off after.
Yes.
It wasn't square. Is that the other type of printer, or is that the type you have?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen that on resin printers. I mean, the reason to do that would be, it has to do with the resolution of the printer, and having the thing be pixelated, and wanting to smooth some of that out by having the things be on 45-degree angles. I've not done that. I could do that, but and the other reason to do it is if you have a model that's longer than your print volume, in the same way that I did the roof at an angle, but not tilted. If you really needed the whole print volume, you could go from one corner to the other, and do it both on an angle horizontally and also on an angle vertically.
Okay.
I didn't need to do that, so I didn't. It's just, it was easy just to plop the model down on the virtual print bed and print it just the way it's going to stand on the railroad. And I thought that was the most obvious thing to do.
Wow. I find it very interesting, the stuff that you've come up with, the print. And I understand Jeremy's doing quite a bit. I'd like to try and get Jeremy to show us what he's doing on his railroad also. It's amazing what you can get out of the 3D printers.
Yeah, well, as I said, I could, either after we're done here or, in another meeting, I could walk through, because I did it for the FreeMoN guys, and we probably spent about 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes with questions, and just kind of walk through and show them. I could show how I actually designed that structure on CAD. It's actually really simple.
And then I understand you can go get plans off the internet. There's people that set their plans up.
Yeah, and this probably isn't one that I would do that with personally, because I was copying, a commercial model. Sure. But I mean, we John Hartman wanted a track bumper, and I think I talked about this a couple months ago, and I think I showed you guys pictures. He
Right.
wanted a track bumper, so he went. I told him if he has a CAD model, I'll print it. I wasn't prepared to model a track bumper because that seems very fiddly, but someone had already done it and they had uploaded it to Thingiverse. So he found that file and I pulled it down and I put it on my printer, and 6 minutes later we had a track bumper. and
Yeah, that's pretty.
and then I printed like 24 of them or 32 of them or something like that, or 16 or whatever in one go. And that was 45 minutes later, I had 16 of them. And yeah, I mean, it's there's some advantages there to N scale, and they looked amazingly good. That was actually what spurred me on. Printing that track bumper and having it look so good is what spurred me on to try modeling that structure. So
Very good. Anybody
right.
have any questions for Bob? Okay, Steve, you said you had something, right? Oh,
Yes, I do.
Okay,
Um,
go ahead.
Jerry, can you let me share my screen?
I've got it set up to where anybody attending the meeting can share their screen.
All right, good. Can you see that?
Not yet.
I can't yet.
Well, interesting.
There you
Now,
go.
now I got it.
Okay. Well, this is a project that I had a small space. I couldn't find anything commercially to stick in there. So this is a scratch built project. And it, like all things, it took a lot longer than it should have. And all the parts came from basically the train show in Lansing. People were unloading some brick panels, and somebody else had a bag full of windows, and so I picked all that up for about $5 and added some styrene, and I have a little factory that meets my needs. I've started putting lights in all my buildings, but it has a downside. And the downside is if you got lights in the building, you got to have something going on inside. So I got to figure out how to make that look like a busy factory in there. And I haven't done that yet. So got to go back and do some work on that. The other things I've been experimenting with, you can see a little bit in the lower corner there is, excuse me, static grass. And I model an area of the country in western Nebraska and eastern Wyoming, which is semi-arid, and it has its own unique grasses and so on. Small and tall blue stem, Indian grass, buffalo grass, and so on. And what I'm trying to do is model that type of grass, and I finally think I found a combination that works reasonably well for me. And in terms of that, it's and thing. And the last project I'm kind of starting on is figuring how to put singles in the railroad. And I haven't got very far in that, but I'm going to do that. And I'm going to use the drivers from North Coast Engineering, NCE, as the with thing called Light It, which runs off which you can control with your throttles, the lighting and so on. And you can also, I don't know if you know this or not, but NCE has built into theirs the ability to do a whole circuit for singles, which is different from the track control, which is different from the accessories control. You can control singles from the handheld as well with NCE, and it works very nice. So that's a couple of projects I've been working on. I'll unshare.
Hey, very good. Anybody have any questions for Steve? Okay, who else would like to share something? Kevin,
I could,
I got two Kevins. I only see one up.
Yeah, I guess I go.
Yeah, okay, go ahead and go. And if the other Kevin wants, he can jump in after you.
Yeah, give me a second here. Share. Can people see it?
Yep. Yep.
Well, making slow progress on the narrow gauge layout in the basement, but as you can see, I'm slowly getting some buildings put together. Got a little coal shed over here. Started. Got our new locomotive. This is a Carl 009 040 with a tender based off the Federstag locomotives. So,
What scale are these, Kevin?
these two locomotives are 009, but it's equivalent to almost H130.
Okay, thank you.
And then
You can use the
Here's some-
arrow key. There you go.
I just got more photos of the Federstag locomotive. It's a nice little locomotive, very quiet. There's a locomotive with its box. And then over the Christmas holiday, my nephews gave me some reference material for British railroading, which is in the Welsh area of the UK. And here's some photos within the book. It's a neat little book. It has like 5 or 6 different railroads in it. And then here's a small video of the new locomotive running. Mhm. But yeah, it's a nice quiet locomotive.
How big's your layout?
3 by 5.
3 by 5?
Yeah, 3 foot by 5 foot.
Okay.
It's going to be a 3 foot by 5 foot. It's kind of going to be based off of a little mining town kind of thing. So it's a work in progress.
I take it you've probably seen the YouTube videos of the narrow gauge, those Welsh narrow gauge.
Yes, me and my dad follow a couple of YouTubers that are based over there in the UK, and they followed the narrow gauge over there quite a
they're
lot.
nice quality videos.
Amen to that.
Yeah, one of the ones we like to watch is Penny Steam on YouTube.
Okay.
Kevin, is this all N scale Pico track?
It's crazy track, Pico crazy track. It's to N scale dimensions, but it has HL scale ties underneath it. It's pre-made. And then the switches are electrical correct, so once they flip it, one track's dead and the other one has power. That's pretty much it. That's it.
And most of that equipment comes from England?
Majority of it, but the Thomas stuff that comes from the US Bachman.
Oh,
dealer.
okay. All right. Oh, very good.
But-
Anybody have any questions of Kevin?
Well, just a comment on the track. Micro Engineering used to make a narrow gauge HON 30 track. And they artificially made the ties a little bit longer so that it looked appropriate. If you looked at, the Maine 2-footers or the Welsh 2-footers, it would be the same amount proportionally sticking out. But since you're going with, it's not 24-inch between the rails, it's 30-inch. And I think what the Payco are, that's the one that's currently available because Micro Engineering doesn't make it anymore. And, the ties are the actual size, and they've moved the rails out slightly. So it throws the proportion off a little bit in my mind. And that's why I'm playing around with the fast tracks to see if I can actually hand lay the track to make it look the way I want it to look. So most of the guys in the Great Lakers HON 30 modular group, if they're laying new track, they use Payco and it looks exactly like what Kevin's got.
Okay, oh, very good. Kevin.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. The other Kevin.
Others. All right, let me try the share screen here.
Kevin Guthrie, that's it. I had to rack my brain.
And I guess I picked this one. Hold, no, share. And then I have to put this in slideshow. Okay, and how do I get rid of this thing? Let's just put that down there.
Yeah, that looks good, Kevin.
All right, there's gotta be a way to get rid of this, right? There we go. So one of the things I did is I went to that the Novi train show. Took my granddaughter and we had a good time. She was on the kid ride where you move the train with your hands, and that was really nice. The one thing that really impressed me, never seen anything like that Maumee Valley Club's layout. That was absolutely enormous. And in fact, most of the train show was layouts. It was kind of cool to see it, but haven't been to one of those in a while, and I'm glad I went. I started working on trees. I like modeling. While you guys are out there, modeling decent stuff like buildings and rolling stock, I'm over here fooling around with scenery. And I decided to try to model white pines after seeing a video on YouTube, which I can't find anymore, that had some really, really excellent results. And so if you look at any layout or you look at a lot of the products out there, you've got generic trees. You can't tell what kind of tree it is. There are a few trees that I can look at them and say, hey, that's a weeping willow. I can tell what they are. And so I thought, I'm gonna, the white pine is one of them. And I could instantly recognize that this guy was modeling a white pine just by looking at it. And so I said, okay, I'm gonna give that one a shot. So if you look at white pines, so I'm looking at this from a modeler's point of view. As you go in, you identify the things that you need to model and all that kind of stuff. They all have upturned branches, and then they start out when they're young, they're really pointing up, and then as they get longer and heavier at the ends, they start to sag. Unlike some trees, they've got kind of a rounded top more than a pointy top. Like most evergreens, there's 1 year's growth, shoots up 2 to 3 feet, and then you get this whirl of branches coming out. So you can kind of tell how old one of these is by counting the number of whorls from the bottom up to the top. And that'll tell you how many years old it is. And the needles on these things are 4 to 5 inches long. And what I really like about them, as opposed to spruces and stuff, they get kind of iffy looking the older they get, scraggly, I guess, is that they get more picturesque looking as they get older, and they look neater. So, you can, I like to look at it as it's kind of like people, you want the guys to look better as they get older instead of scraggly looking. So this is a good tree to model. So if I look at what's out there, I'm not really happy with them. A lot of them are these, they look like somebody took a bottle brush and ran it into ran it through a pencil sharpener. I mean, you can buy Christmas trees like that, but I've never seen them in nature. There's a couple that are put out, like Woodland Scenics has some that kind of meet the direction I want to go. But then when you go to YouTube and you look, there are some that actually look like real white pines. I was particularly impressed with the results that this guy had. And so for my particular thing, I want to make them 60 to 90 feet tall, say 5 to 6 inches in end. Those needles, if they're 5 inches, that'd be 0.8 millimeters. The distance between whorls, the annual growth there is 1/8 to 3/16 of an inch apart height-wise. And then the trunk diameter is going to be an N scale, like a 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch. And the first thing I did is I tried to follow this guy's directions on YouTube. Unfortunately, he was making trees that were a good 15 to 20 inches tall. He used a 1/4 inch dowel, started with that, shaved it down, drilled a bunch of holes in the sides for the branches, and then glued in this stuff called Caspia. So I really liked the way that Caspia, the tips on the Caspia pointed up. It really reminded me of a white pine branch. I ordered some online, and I was really disappointed. For one thing, drilling little tiny holes into that skewer didn't work very well. You end up with very little skewer left, and it became I don't know, really problematic. I only got about halfway through the tree before I realized there was no way I was going to get this done, especially on the top. So the second thing I tried was I bought a bunch of 32 gauge wire, and I figured I would run the wire up the trunk and then bring out one wire for every branch. And there was a couple of things that I tried that didn't work, and a lot of this is about things that don't work. But I tried latex paint on the trunk, and that ended up stringing out into the wire and creating these big like webbed fingers between the wire and the branches and the trunk. I used static grass on it, the 1 millimeter, that worked pretty well. But the other thing is that they're structurally unsound. That 32 gauge wire, even if you have like 60 or 70 of them, it can't hold up the weight of the tree. So I had to prop it up. And here on the bottom, by the way, you can see a woodland scenic tree, which they sell, and it's kind of a comparison between them. So the best one I did was just use 22 gauge wire. You twist it up, you put pieces of sisal, which is from twine, and then you start adding the foliage and the flocking. So these are the various steps you go through. I couldn't find any bare wire anymore at the hardware store, so I ended up stripping a bunch. And what I ended up doing was cutting a length that was about 4 times longer than I needed the tree to be high, because you've got to chuck up one end and clamp one end, and you're going to end up cutting them off and so on, and you're going to double it. So you have to fold it in half anyway. And then the sisal, I read that if you buy thick hemp rope, that's the best stuff to use. And I couldn't find any of that at the hardware store either. So I ended up using some twine that I had lying around. The twine has really fine pieces of fiber in it, a little bit too fine, too bendy. And so then what I did is I clamped down one end, and after doubling the wire over, and I bent up one of the wires and laid the other one flat, clamped that down. And then I coated the bottom wire with Elmer's. And the reason I did that was because when you take that sisal and you put it on there, one small breath can blow it away. So it helped to kind of stick it to the wire a little bit between now and the time you get it all twisted up. It's like something's got to hold it down at least a little. So I put them all at right angles. It's pretty basic. You have to, I found it was easier to chuck it in the drill if I also bent the ends around in a U and kind of clamp down the one end, chuck it up with the drill in the other, and then with your third hand, unclamp it and lift it up about 45 degrees so that the sisal doesn't hit that flat piece of wood while you're twisting. And then slowly but surely just start twisting the drill. And when you're done with that, they're held in tight. They're not going to move anywhere. And then the next thing I did was get the branches, the sisal wet so that it would bend easier, and kind of ran it through my hand to try to get them to bend upward a little bit. And then I got out cheap hairspray and sprayed it all up. And then I trimmed it so that it looked kind of like the shape of a tree. This one, I'm not really happy with the shape in. I need to trim it some more. But at that point, you've got a copper twisted wire trunk, which you have to hide. So I used flat black and suede, which is like a light brown, a combination of them. It didn't look too bad. Then I had to put coarse woodland scenic turf on it. And to do that, I mean, you can use a water-based glue, but like hairspray or something even. But if you do, then when you try to add more water-based glue later on for another layer, it loosens the first stuff and everything falls off. So you got to find a glue that isn't going to dissolve in water. And one of them that I've used in the past is Dull Coat. It works pretty well, but it tends to turn color when you wet it. And so I bought some spray adhesive. This is called Scotch Super 77. And I was very disappointed after I sprayed everything with it, that it kind of turned white. So I don't know if they all do that, if there's one that either turns dark or stays clear or something. But at that point, I added the coarse dark green turf, made like blobs for the branches. And then I ended up, to cover up the white, I ended up spray painting it again, holding the tree upside down this time and spraying it from the top. And as long as I had that spray paint there, which is another waterproof glue, I added a little bit more turf and thickened it up a little bit. So the next thing I had to deal with was the pine needles. I used 1 millimeter Pico autumn grass. This stuff is, it's a little bit longer than 4 or 5 inches. It's more like 6, but it looks just fine. And you can see I just hooked up the static grass lead to the wire at the base of the tree. And then you start applying the 1 millimeter grass. And then I got out that cheap hairspray. This is about the 4th round of cheap hairspray, and spray it again. I was concerned about the color. You can see in the upper right corner, that's the woodland scenic version of pine foliage. And the strands in the middle are actual white pine from a tree in my backyard. And so I tried to match that color. And I ended up going to Walmart, spending 50 cents on a bunch of paint. And this is the formula that I used is 10 parts English ivy, 10 parts arbor green, and 1 part black. And then I used that and spray painted it. It didn't change the color that much. And in fact, the color is remarkably close to the woodland scenic dark foliage color, but it looks good. I'm happy with the color. So the last question is, was all this trouble worth it? And it's like, nah, probably not. I can't say I'd recommend doing this. This is not my best example here, but it's one that I happen to have taken a picture of. But I was just thinking that a lot of these look an awful lot like those goldenrod heads out in the fields after they turn white. And maybe next time I'll start by grabbing some of those, trimming them, hitting them up with Dull Coat, and then working on coloring them. I know that I've tried them in the past for other things, and they turn out to be extremely delicate. Like after they're totally dry, they can come apart pretty quickly if you touch them. So If there's a way to fix it and make it solid, I'll be doing that. But, you know, that's it for me. Any questions? And how do I get out of there?
Oh, very interesting. A couple of things I thought of when you're talking about the, I believe it was the trunk you're talking about putting glue on it.
But
Build it
yeah,
up. Dip it in carpenter's glue, and it takes a lot of water before that affects carpenter's glue once it's dried. The other thing is to use heat shrink over it. If you want to build up the trunk a little bit, use a couple different size heat shrinks. Just
Well,
my thoughts.
how would the heat shrink go over the sisal? I mean,
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm talking about the trunk, just at the bottom.
oh, just toward the bottom, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm hoping to hide the obvious twisty part and have these trees kind of emerge from my forest.
Oh, well, that makes sense. Yeah, that would. Make sense.
But I also, I know I've seen other people where apparently you can take hot glue and once you put the branches on, you like heat up the hot glue in a pot. I think you actually have a pot of hot water and then you put another pot in that full of hot glue and you dip it in there and pull it out and that smooths everything out and solidifies it up. I tried, like I said, I tried the latex paint and it was too thick. I should have tried a thinner or something like that, but it made webs between the branches and the trunk, and I had to like go in and kind of dig them out with a toothpick and soak all that excess paint back up. So I won't do that again, but it did work.
Right. The other thing, the answer could be on YouTube somewhere. I found some pretty cool ways of doing like mass canopies to cover a few square feet.
Yeah, that's what I do. I don't model trees, I model forests, and I start with hundreds of trunks and then I put stuff on that and then put the foliage on the stuff, and it goes a lot faster for me than the individual trees.
Right.
I'm really surprised too about the individual trees out there. I've seen really, really good ones, but they don't look like forests. They look like individual trees. Like there's woodland scenic ones that are probably 3 or 4 inches tall and 3/8 of an inch in diameter, which comes out to a tree that's about, I don't know, 40 feet high with a 6-foot diameter trunk. And I don't know of any trees like that. I don't know why they make the armatures that big, but they're just not realistic looking.
Right. Well, the one that really attracted me, like I was talking about a canopy, they used, I'm trying to remember, it's been a while. They actually build all the little fantasy, not soldiers, but from Days of Old, the knights and all that. And they have a forest, and they would put their characters in this forest, but they wanted a canopy over it, and it showed how they made the canopy, and it was like, I don't know if it was canvas material, but he put the trees, just the tops of the trees on this, and then lay it over. It did more to it than that, but it really made a good looking forest canopy. Like if you're flying over it, like we get on most of our model railroad, you're not looking at the trunks, you're not getting down at that angle, you're kind of looking down. So in a forest area, all you've got is basically the canopy, the tops of the trees. So I've got to find that video again, and if I do, maybe I can embed that in a video, just the portion that they were showing, that just give you some ideas.
Okay, you can see behind my head there in my background, that's how I build them with this. It's like a batting that's black, and you spread that out over the top of the trunks, and then you just start gluing down foliage to it. And the top is really easy. It's the edges, those vertical edges.
Right.
It's really hard to get those in. That's what takes all the time. But you could, if you had a square yard of that, you could cover the top in 10 minutes if you wanted to. It's kind of a fast way to go.
Right.
I've seen people try to make individual trees and it just seemed like a waste of foliage and a waste of time, because most of what they make, if you crowd it close together like a forest, you can't even see any of the lower branches or anything. So there's no point in it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll have to look for that. It's been a while since I've seen, I might have even saved it on my favorites, but I don't remember. Well, it's interesting, Kevin. Thank you. So, anybody else? Okay, well, let me,
Andy?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just got the cursor down to me. I'll show you, if it works, a couple of pictures of what we're doing today.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, the wrong one. Okay, and I need share screen.
Are you right downtown where they've had the convention?
No,
show?
we're out in Allendale. I think it's Allendale. Where? Wyoming, south side of Wyoming.
Oh, okay, all right.
Okay, does this show up?
Not yet, we still have you.
Okay. Well, it's not doing for me. When I hit share screen, it gives me options. And okay, desktop.
Pick a window to share.
There we go.
Oh, okay. That was, we got in and this is the first room we set up in because what we were told we were supposed to. And got partway set up. Oh, no, you're in a different room. So, of course,
No, or those aren't your tables, right? They
no,
provide-
these aren't our tables. These are the ones that were provided. And they came in different sizes. You can see we had to do some work down below.
Oh, boy.
And okay, so this is the room we ended up in. We've got tables that pretty much worked together. So we're getting our costs on them. And getting close to set up.
The curtains look nice with that logo.
Yeah, yes, yeah, and then we have more skirting that goes across all the wiring that's in between the layouts to hide that. That's my Easter train full of jelly beans. Yeah, Easter Bunny has to get them somehow. They come by the train load.
I think they come out of Ashtabula.
Those are colored
those were
dinosaur eggs.
And you know, if you leave cookies and milk for the Santa Claus, you gotta leave carrots for the Easter Bunny.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is a big hit with the kids. Okay. Okay, I thought I had a couple of others, but apparently they haven't transferred from the phone yet. So anyhow, that's where we're at today.
Well, you got that open, those bridges up above there, yeah. What are those? Are those on your club? They're not part of your club,
Up
are you?
here?
Yeah,
No, these were at the Novi show. And
Some spectacular bridges.
wow. no
spectacular
kidding.
bridges. And a lot of them are the ones that cross the Ohio River.
Yeah, that's what they reminded me of.
Yeah,
So is that an actual layout or is it just bridges?
no, he runs trains on them there, so there's trains up here. It's mostly just bridges, but the lower one, I guess there's a loop, they run the train across.
Wow, that's really impressive.
There we go. Of course, he's got a Norfolk and Western engine with a whole bunch of C&O hoppers.
I love the dinosaur that's face down.
Where was, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Whoops. This is a Civil War era bridge he's working on.
Wow,
Wow.
he's quite the modeler.
And the Ferris wheel was apparently the original Ferris wheel at a Chicago World's Fair.
The model is.
Yeah, model of it. And they had one of those air horns where you can pull down with the kids. So we were getting air horn all day.
Oh, I'll bet. Oh,
All welded steel. Okay, there's the whole whistle.
oh, yeah.
How does he transport all that stuff, Mark?
I don't know. By the time I saw it, they were mostly set up Friday.
That Ferris wheel actually turns too.
Mhm.
How many people they put in each of those? That must have been a really giant sized Ferris wheel. Looks like it carry a dozen people or so
Oh,
each.
yeah, yeah. Sort of like the London Eye.
No, was that Novi here a few weeks back?
Yes.
We have a couple younger members who like to hold the intermodal, you know, 75 to 95. Range if the layout.
That Hell's Gate.
No, Hell's Gate. Oh, yeah, this is Hell's Gate.
Oh, that one there.
Yeah, the red one. I believe it is. It has that appearance.
Hey, Mark, what scale was that all in? Does that look like it's 3-rail?
Yeah, Lionel. It looks like it. Oh, scale. It looks like it's 3-way out there with guard gauge type track.
That's the bridge guy. Huh?
Yeah.
He's got 14 kids. How do you have any time to build bridges?
Maybe
Slave
he started building
labor, I'll
bridges
bet.
sooner.
Okay, that gets into the other layouts there.
Ghostbusters ambulance, gotta love that.
Yeah. Let's see, what was this? Yeah, trying to get with digital. I thought I got it with a picture of the train on the movie screen. But, and then one layout. And the fascia shows the subway tunnel.
Oh, that's interesting. You just cut that scene into the fascia.
Right, yeah. Oh, and Division 6 had their modular display layout. In Division 8, advertising their NMRA. 2 weeks, Division 6 is having a train show, which the first one says no layouts, it's just tables. And I managed to snag a table there to offload some of my stuff. Anyhow.
That was interesting.
Okay, how do I get back to?
Mark, it should be up at the top, I think, and it'll have view options,
Oh, view,
or it'll say stop share or something like that.
stop share. Okay, there we go.
Okay, very good. Anybody else? Okay. If you would, Mark, just mute. We got quite
yeah.
a bit of back noise. Okay. Well, let me try here and see how this works. Oh, wrong place. Okay, can you see that?
Yep, looks good, full screen.
Okay, good. Let me, this is, you'll see this again on the video. I just have to, here's the video here.
Okay, well, thanks for waiting, guys.
This is John Perret.
So this convention is kind of a one of a kind and actually a one-off convention. Several years ago, the leadership of 3 of the NMRA regions, Midwest, North Central, and Mid Central, got together and
We'll put it on hold for a minute. Can you guys, is it breaking up or anything, or is the quality okay?
Oh, it
Quality's
seems
pretty good,
fine.
Andy.
Seems
Very
okay.
good.
Okay, thanks. Let me know after if there is problems. Because you know, if this works good, it'll be a good way for us to be able to embed.
Okay, well, thanks for waiting, guys. So this convention is kind of a one of a kind and actually a one-off convention. Several years ago, the leadership of 3 of the NMRA regions, Midwest, North Central, and Mid Central, got together and said, you know, the 2022 NMRA National Convention is scheduled to be in the United Kingdom. And they thought, you know, that's going to be a great convention, but surely there's going to be a lot of people that will choose not to go to that because of the expense and the time involved. What do you say we don't put 3 regions together and make kind of a super regional convention? And so that idea took off several years ago and the planning began. Of course, the pandemic hit. The UK convention eventually was canceled due to that, as well as some scheduling problems. In the meantime, this was on the books and financial commitments made. And of course, after that, St. Louis was granted the national convention for this year as well, which happens just a few months after this. But we're full speed ahead, and we kind of bill it as a mini national convention. It has all the whistles and bells, we think, of a national convention. And I'll touch on these briefly as I go through this. As you can see, it's May 18th and 22nd. It's a Wednesday through Sunday. The convention, typical convention activities are really Wednesday through Saturday, but the train show runs Friday through Sunday, so the 20th through the 22nd. It's going to be at the Marriott East Hotel, which is on the eastern edge of Indianapolis, right by the beltway that surrounds the city and Interstate 70. So easy to get to, free parking. And also, besides the 3 regions, we have the Chicagoland RPM group with us. Rather than hold their event in Chicago this year, they're joining in with us, and they are bringing with them their typical events. And I'll get into that here in a second. Keep quiet. So again, the 3 regions that are taking part cover, as the parts are all of 9 different states. And so a big area, and Chicagoland Rail Prototype Modelers, they draw people from all over the country actually, but of course heavy in the Midwest area. So far, as of last Saturday, our registration report indicates we're right around 400 registrants so far for the convention. So we're real pleased about that. Convention activities, and Andy's going to talk about the clinics in more detail when I'm done here, but we have, counting the RPM clinics, more than 85 clinics scheduled for this. And we have the NMRA model contest will take place. Modeling with the masters is an extra fair item, and actually there's 2 sessions, both sold out already. The RPM will have their traditional display room, which includes a large N scale and HO scale layouts, as well as tables for displaying models, and just a space for fellowship, if you will. They'll also have be presenting clinics of their own, and again, Andy will cover that. There'll also be 2 photo vendors that will have rooms all week long displaying what they've got. There are 52 Indianapolis area layouts that are on layout tours from Wednesday through Saturday. Operating sessions also Wednesday through Saturday, about 150 slots. Last I saw, there were less than 5 left. They may be able to add some, point is close to selling out. With the turnout we're having, it's not surprising that those are almost gone. There's a rail yard sale. It's not an auction, but rather an opportunity where attendees can bring in an item or several items to the show early on, register them in one of the ballroom sections, and put a price on things. There will be staff there, volunteer staff that will oversee it. People can come in later in the week and purchase them. And then at the end of the week, the person that put the item up for sale will come in and hopefully receive their payment if their item sold, less a 10% fee just to cover the expense for it by the convention. There are non-rail activities for spouses that include a number of speakers that are coming in. There's one of the wives of one of our committee member is going to talk to them about being a wife of a model railroader and some of the funny things, as well as maybe some of the challenges that she's incurred over many years. And we'll have a local weather meteorologist from one of the television stations here talking, and also a optometrist will be coming in and talking about, and this may be attended by some modelers, talking about aging eyes and how you deal with modeling as your eyesight maybe gets a little less vivid than it used to be, and what you can do to help that along and tools that you can use. We'll have a couple of prototype tours. We didn't have quite as many as we hoped because this day and age, post-pandemic, liability concerns, whatever, some of the prototype tours that we've had here in the past, we had the National NMRA Convention here in 2016. Some of those just aren't available, but we do have an Amtrak Beech Grove service facility tour. I have to say again, that's already sold out, but that was very popular, didn't take long. And there's a excursion train in East Central Indiana that is also going to be on the list as well. And that is the Whitewater Valley Railroad. You may have seen their advertisements in Classic Trains and other magazines in the hobby. The NMRA president, Gordie Robinson, is traveling from Scotland to be with us all week. And there will be some scheduled sessions where he'll address the crowd as well as take questions and with division and regional leadership. And he'll participate in some operating sessions and layout tours as well. And we're looking forward to having him with us. One of the regular events of RPM is the Friends of the Freight Car Dinner. That will be held, and we're up to about 140 registrants for that. Still room for that. We can take about 180 for that dinner, and there is a special guest speaker for that. And then finally, the 3-day train show and swap meet. And we have 2 good-sized halls in the hotel. Everything is self-contained in the hotel. And this is, again, a pretty large Marriott on the east side. One of the halls will be focusing on commercial companies and a lot of craftsman kit manufacturers. We've got model railroad hobby retailers coming in. And then the other hall will primarily be, well, what we like to just call swap meet vendors. And there's kind of the typical local train show vendors that we all see that have a variety of stuff. And so we're looking forward to that. And then in the atrium of the hotel, we will have modular layouts. O, S, H, O, and N scales will all be represented. The O scale is a 2-rail layout. We'll have some prizes during the train show. And in the atrium as well, we'll have a food concession where some pretty reasonably priced food sold by the hotel will be available as well. So if you're interested in more about it, you can go to the convention website, which is indyjunction2022.org. And information there is about registration you can find. If you're a potential exhibitor, there's still room in the trade show and meet for tables, and you can find that information there as well. So we encourage you, if you're up this way or want to make the trip, to by all means sign up. Hotels, the Marriott Hotel, again, we increased the room block 3 times, and it's still sold out, our room block. But we have 4 other hotels listed on the website that have convention special rates there. And of course, you can pick a hotel of your choice, obviously, where you want to go. But there are some others there listed for you for your convenience. So Jim, I'll turn it over to Andy, and he can pick it up from here.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm here. Let me, there we go. Okay, you see that okay, Jim?
Yes.
Okay, basically, I'm just going to be talking about the clinic end of the convention. And I don't have to be getting into the different regions, all that. John did a nice job of bringing that up. So again, May 18th to 22nd. And the clinics, I hate going to conventions where you have downtime and nothing to do. And there are people that don't want to do what the convention has lined up. Like say you're not into proto tours. So you sit at the hotel and you've got nothing to do until something starts a few hours later when the proto tours are over. So we're giving you clinics and a lot of them all day long, every day, right up to Saturday evening. So there's a total of 55 RPM and NMRA clinicians. They are presenting approximately 85 different clinics. Almost all will be presented twice for a grand total of 165 clinic presentations in 7 separate clinic rooms and open to all convention attendees over the 4 days. Now, we're not going to go into detail on this, but these are on the website now, on the convention website. And this is the chart that I use to plug everybody in. On the left side are the 4 rooms. Actually, the first one are 2 rooms opened up to 1 large one. But there's 4 rooms, and all day long, from 9 in the morning till 10 at night, we are running clinics, and then with breaks for meals. And 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m., basically, it's all clinics. Nothing else is going on. From noon to supper or dinner, we have our tours in the daytime. And the people that don't want to go on the tours can attend any of these clinics. And people that are on the tours that would like to attend these clinics, they will be presented a second time in the I guess you'd call it premium hours for for the clinics, would be either the evenings or the 2 morning ones later on in the convention. There are also Dave Capron, which is well known. He did a several part presentation in RMC a few years ago, just before COVID. And he's doing several of his clinics, including, you'll see on the next day, right down here in the lower left, he's actually using an RPM room to do his clinic on Craftsman kits, which is what his presentation was in RMC. So we go through the each day here, and Friday, same thing. And depending on where you're from and how much you know what's going on, we've got some well-known model railroaders here. Bill Neal is well-known up in the Michigan area and NCR. Jerry Albers in Cincinnati area. He's got a beautiful Virginian layout. And there's several others that are well-known. And Mr. Goodman was the engineer that I guess you would say, I'm not sure of design, but he was in charge of building the H of Steam roundhouse and all the facilities with it. And he's putting a program on what they went through to build that. The Friends of the Dinner or Freight Car Dinner is Friday evening. Modeling with the Masters is an additional clinic, and as John pointed out, they've already been sold out. And this year it's on weathering with acrylics. Saturday, the second Modeling with the Masters, and then we have the awards from the contests and such given out Saturday evening. These slots will be filled in before it's all over. We have people, quite a few people that are staying overnight into Sunday. So we're going to keep clinics going for them, keep a full schedule. Okay, here, let me get out of this. So this, let me go back to that. This is a, the RPM clinic. I'm trying to get my act together here to move. There we go. The RPM clinics, I had to enlarge it so you could read it. And here there's quite a few well-known modelers. Mont Switzer's been in the magazines quite a bit. Eric Hansman. Let's see. Also got Bill Darnaby from the Maumee route. Stephen Priest. The Union Pacific is doing a rebuild of an SD-45-2, a restoration, and he's putting a program on about that. And you can see several other names here. Some I'm not aware of that you probably are if you're more into the modeling in that. Down near the bottom here, you can see the colors layout related is in blue, passenger cars in this reddish color. Tips and techniques, prototype railroad operations, freight cars, modeling, and layout ops. So they have quite a selection here. And they're broken down. This is, they start Thursday at noon. So Wednesday, the RPM clinics go hot and heavy all day long. And then they join us on Thursday and go through Saturday late afternoon. So, and this is also on the convention website. And we have on the website a list of the clinicians and their bios, and then also a list of the clinics. And we have them and we've coded them to make it easy for you to look them up, get information on them and such. And yeah, that's basically it. I would like to open up if anybody has any questions. And John, is here for you to ask if you would also, if you have any questions for him. And let me get back to.
Gentlemen, I do have one question again, and I'd like to start off with maybe. You keep talking about this being an NMRA this and NMRA that. You have to be an NMRA member to attend?
John, I'll let you handle that.
Yes, it is an NMRA event. Now the train show itself, all but the first few hours of the train show will be open to the public. But other than that, the convention is an NMRA event.
Okay, so then you have to join as an NMRA member or just pay an extra registration fee, or how does that work for this?
I have to join as a member, so they would have to join in advance. I don't believe there's anything on a registration form that adds that to it.
Okay, so that's good. And if people have additional questions or ideas or whatever, who should they contact? You, John,
We have a special email address, info@indyjunction.org, and that goes to our PR group, and then they disseminate the question to whichever.
Okay, I think you guys saw what we needed to cover on this. Is there any questions?
Yeah, I have a couple questions. One is, did I hear you say that there weren't any just general layout tours? They're just operating sessions that you sign up for?
Yes, you can sign, well, the layout tours, they have them in groups through the days, let's see, Wednesday through Saturday. So the northeast area of Indianapolis one day and southwest area another. You can go online and look up.
Are those drive yourself?
Yes, drive yourself, no
And
extra.
they're just in the Indianapolis area. They're not over.
Oh, they go out a fair distance.
I didn't know to Cincinnati or whether.
Oh, not that far, no.
Yeah, yeah.
The layout tours, I'm not sure if they're as far as an hour out, but the majority of the, layout op sessions, I don't know how many slots will be open now. We did this program you just saw last Wednesday.
And if you only had it, if I only had 3 days to get away or so, any recommendations as to the best time to go? And
Oh, you mean you just want to pick 3 days, but it doesn't matter where it's
three
Wednesday?
consecutive days, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, David, do it where the train show is going to be happening. Make sure
To
you're
do it
there for
at-
that. What days is that, Andy? The train show?
It's Friday, Friday somewhere around noon. I don't have the exact open time, right through Sunday.
Well, but would there be less clinics then, or
No, we've got a full slate of clinics from
true on
Wednesday.
the Saturday and Sunday too?
Yeah, and I made a mistake on that video. I said RPM all Wednesday. It's NMRA clinics all Wednesday, and RPM starts at noon Thursday and goes through to Saturday evening. Basically, they're done early Saturday evening.
Yeah, you have
I'll
no,
look at
no,
the website and see what.
I'm sorry?
I'll look at the website and see. what-
Yeah, that'll give you a lot. And Ron, what did you say?
there are no clinics on Sunday.
Right.
No clinics. We are having meetings, the NMRA, the division, not divisions, but the regions are having their meetings. They'll have their own meeting room Sunday. So I'll be there from 2. A lot of people are getting there Tuesday evening. And then they can start right off in the morning, Wednesday, and at noon after you eat, there's tours. And the same thing Thursday and Friday and even Saturday. So you pick and choose what you want to do. But if you want to stay there, there's going to be a lot of clinics to pick from. So any questions? Okay. Well, let's see. Why don't we, how many people we got? We've got 11 people. Any thoughts on what we can do for summer, what we can start looking at that you would be interested in doing? Like whether we go someplace proto, for a proto tour down into Ohio or Indiana. I'm not sure what they got in Indiana, but Ohio, they've got a couple of spots there that people like to go to. Or line up some layouts and do layout tours, maybe in an area we haven't done it in before. I'd like to get some thoughts on, from all of you.
The thing that Mark was coming up with, the trip down to Dashler,
Yes.
that sounds like a pretty unique spot to go see, because you got quite a bit of rail traffic going east-west, but there's some north-south come through there, and then they got trains going from one direction to the other and swapping around, which is kind of, from watching down the webcams on online, it looked like it would be quite a unique thing. Plus, there's a park there.
That's Dashler, or is it the other? What's the other one in Ohio? I can't think of the name right now.
Astoria. The other one's
Astoria.
Astoria.
Fostoria.
Yeah.
Were you thinking of Fostoria, or is Dashler the same way?
No, we're doing Dashore this time.
Dashler.
Yeah.
But,
Okay, so it's
We've done,
basically the same.
Dashore was the first one we did a number of years ago. We've done Fostoria, Marion, Vermillion, and Bellevue. So we're kind of starting over again.
Okay.
Do you have a date yet?
Yeah, May 7th. First Saturday in May.
Oh, I'm talking about the summer though. This
Oh,
is
the summer one,
something
okay.
for our division.
Okay, one of the thoughts that somebody came up with was maybe doing a picnic up at Huckleberry during Rail Fan Days. And there when they do
Yeah.
the shop tour and stuff,
That would be a good one.
and you got the layouts up there.
Yeah, good thing about
Yeah,
that.
August 1st is when they have beginning of August, their railroad
First
weekend.
full weekend
Yeah.
is Huckleberry Rail Fan Days. The Land Track, will Land Track be there or it's gonna be the T-Track?
Well, it'll be the T-Track.
T-Track, okay, and then the
Yeah.
Great Lakers will be there with their main setup.
Yeah.
Isn't FEMO also gonna be doing one too?
What was that?
The FREMO folks, aren't they gonna be setting up too? The,
I think so, yes, the HS scale group.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's live full-size steam.
narrow gauge
going all
trains
weekend.
outside, which is cool.
Yeah.